Florida has announced that they will retain Billy Napier. The university itself released a statement earlier today. Scott Strickland, the athletic director there, released a statement earlier today. First thoughts, I'm surprised, and this is the September version of me talking to you right now. I'm surprised. A lot of folks, myself included, gave this a little chance of happening a couple of months ago. Team looked dead in the water. They came out of the gate very slow. We were at the Miami game. It was very toxic feeling. Most of you still remember that. It was just a few months ago. It was very toxic feeling. We expected that to be a back-and-forth affair. It wasn't. Florida got drowned, and it was over at the half. And that meant that a lot of the confidence that had been built up was eroded away immediately. And I'll never forget how just toxic and negative it felt in that stadium. You remember the scene. We all remember the scene. Some of us were there. And so then A&M comes in there a couple of weeks later, and it's that all over again. And so two really ugly scenes in the swamp, and everyone had sold their stock on Billy Napier. And I can tell you, a lot of folks expected the team to quit. There were a lot of rumors. Let's just call it like it is. A lot of it was true. Dissension within that coaching staff. Folks just not seeing eye to eye. I don't need to get into the particulars. It's not hard for you to imagine that that was happening. And that happens on some successful staffs when teams are going undefeated. So yes, absolutely, that sort of infighting happens when things aren't going well. You just hope it stays in. And for the most part, I think they kept it bottled up down there, but hadn't been pretty. Has not been pretty every step of the way necessarily. And so you throw all that in a blender, and you come out of week 3, 1-2 already, and you know that you've still got all this left to go. And it was a fair assumption that Billy Napier was done. A lot of the big money folks down there would tell you that because they told me that. A lot of people in the agency world expected that job to come open because they told me that. But here was the problem. Billy Napier didn't get fired, and he kept on working. And his team never quit on him. And they've played some of their best ball. That doesn't mean they've won every step of the way, but they played their best ball most recently. They fought Georgia. They went up there and fought Tennessee. It's something to be proud of. Now, I'm going to give you enough pat on the back that you deserve for that, but merely being bought in is such an Overton Windows way to view this. So as much as you deserve credit for keeping your team bought in, that's the minimum baseline of what you have to do as a head coach of a major program. Kirby's got his guys bought in. DeBoer and Brian Kelly have their guys bought in. Everybody who matters has their guys bought in. So you don't get a sticker. You get a sticker if you're coaching on a volunteer basis and you keep your team bought in. If you're getting paid what Billy Napier is getting paid, they expect a lot more. So that's the Florida fans' view of this. As I've noticed today, granted, I probably saw the most negative opinions, but it seems like it was 90-10 negative in terms of how the Florida fan base received this. They're not happy about it. They're not thrilled with it. It's your program. You got every right to feel that way. Blah, blah, blah. I say the same stuff every time when a coach is retained. You know me. My take on this is always calling for someone's job is the absolute last resort. I hardly ever do it. I don't like it. I don't like those kinds of segments. We could do them a lot, and they'd generate a ton of traffic for us. I just hate them, so we don't do them. I went down there in spring. We had Napier on the show. He opened the full program to us. He gave us pretty unprecedented access. I appreciated it. I still do. And I will stand by a vast majority of what I said when I went down there. I think Napier, he's a great dude. I think he's a very good coach. I think he has hired incredibly well in terms of just the people that have to be in the building. So that's what I thought when I saw it. But they came out of the gate ice cold this fall. That's ultimately how you get judged. That is the beauty and nightmare of this stuff. You get 12 opportunities per year to be judged, and if you drop a couple of them early, no one cares how immaculate your facilities are. No one cares how well you've hired. No one cares about your strength and conditioning staff and your nutrition staff and your sports science advances and your recruiting department, all of which I think are top-notch down there. No one cares. You just got to win. He knows that. I think everyone down there knows that. There's also another reality that we have to acknowledge here. They don't have a president right now. At the University of Florida, there is no president, so they're in a sort of interim capacity right now. Therefore, Scott Strickland, the athletic director, had to make a call, and he made it. He probably made the same call I'd make. I'm certainly not going to sit here and criticize him for it when I would have probably done the same thing. And by same thing, I mean I'm looking around and I'm saying, number one, I've got the opportunity here to kick the can down the road a year further. That's really what this was. It's not an overwhelming vote of confidence. I don't care what the statement said. It's not an overwhelming vote of confidence. A lot of stuff has to change there. He knows it. Napier knows it. Everybody associated with that program knows it. If they had a permanent president in place, it very well may have been the case that Napier got fired. But that's not the case. So those aren't the set of circumstances. And so Napier is going to get another shot. Now, kicking the can down the road has a very pejorative connotation. Kicking the can down the road oftentimes is just code for something's going to happen, we're delaying it a year. That is certainly in the cards here. It certainly could be the case that a year from now nothing is improved and we are on the air. God willing, we're still on the air and we're doing a segment, not necessarily God willing, but potentially we're doing a segment that Billy Napier is no longer the head coach of Florida. Yeah, that's one possibility. The other possibility, and I'm going to zoom it out and kind of speak generically here for a second, is the benefit of the revenue sharing era is such that it's going to cause some athletic director out there to practice patience he otherwise would not practice. Meaning, since we got to pay the players, we can't just willy-nilly fork out 50, 60, 70, 80 million dollars to get rid of one staff and hire a new staff because it's less affordable than it used to be because we have to treat this money as real money now instead of monopoly money. Therefore, whereas I would have fired you if it were 2012, it's 2024, I'm going to keep you around one more year. That kind of stuff's happening, and it's going to happen. Someone's going to look like a genius for that. Maybe it's Scott Strickland. Maybe keeping Billy Napier around 1 year longer buys him the opportunity to have one more year of this very, very young roster that they've invested their NIL dollars in, one more year of cranking up their NIL machine, one more year of DJ Lagway, one more year of hopefully a little bit more favorable schedule next year, although not much, and maybe just a better start. And maybe they're sitting here in secret contention for the SEC championship next year. Maybe. Maybe not. You know, that's the way this works. I would, by the way, suggest to you, if you're watching live, and we're on in the middle of the day right now, please subscribe to the channel because this is free and we do it all year long. And I would humbly ask you to subscribe because it costs you nothing, but it makes sure that the show remains free to everyone. We appreciate you guys watching. So with Billy Napier now remaining in his seat for at least one more year, all right, so then I look at that, that's done. That's settled as far as I'm concerned. Then I look at what needs to happen. Very simply, what needs to happen is there need to be changes on that coaching staff down there because you got to do it your way, and your way didn't work so far this year. So then you've got to do it a different way. And that's as dumbed down as I could possibly put that because I don't want to get in particular and specific on that. Number two, you've got to look at your big money folks, and you got to ask them a question. And that simple question is, how serious are you about winning? They're going to tell you they're very serious about it. And you're going to say, okay, prove it. And they're going to say, either, okay, here's the blank check, or, well, we need to see more, or, well, with this check come conditions and we need a new head coach. And if it's any of that, then Napier's probably screwed. But if you get the first attitude, if you get them leaning in really, really hard on doing the same things that other universities are doing, you know, places like Texas, places like Oregon, Ohio State, they don't really hear no a whole lot. And everybody in the SEC, and for that matter, every big-time program in the Big Ten, they all like to flex about how money is no object, man. Football matters. It drives the bus, and we're all in. But really, not everyone's all in. Really, it's a load of garbage sometimes. But see, here's the thing. 99% of us are never in a position to have 8- and 9-figure net worth to where we could ever stroke those checks. So it's very easy, I will admit to you, it's very easy to sit here behind a microphone or to sit there on your message board or just texting your buddy saying, man, our donors got to step up. But that doesn't change the fact that if you really are serious and you're that invested emotionally into the product that is Florida football, you might as well go ahead and be invested financially to the degree that your friends are at Alabama or at LSU or at Ohio State or at Texas or Oregon, because really at the end of the day, we're talking about you being able to compete against them. We're talking about you being able to compete against Miami, not just on the field, but in recruiting. That's what it's going to come down to. Finishing second best of those programs is enough to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to continue to lose to them. So this has nothing to do with you and I. It has to do with the big money folks down there. I mean, it's not your grandfather's college football that's the way it works now, per se, but that is the way it works now. So Billy Napier is and will be the head coach at Florida for the foreseeable future. And I, for one, do not think that his future is written in pen. I think it very much could be written in pencil.